Just the book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4.
1 second, King. 1 second. Okay. Let me get rid of all this real quick so I can have room. Okay, come. Go ahead. Romans 15 and 4.
Just the book of Romans, 15 verse 4. For whatsoever things were written, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
Kind. First and foremost, we want to give Kol Halal Yahweh Bahashem Hamashiach wa Malak Yahweh for giving us the spirit and power to do this lesson. Shema Yasharala Yahweh Allahaya Nawa Yahweh Akkad. That is Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 4. All right, so what we're going into, you see the title of the lesson. Don't be like them in the wilderness, the second Exodus. That's what we're dealing with, the second Exodus. I want to grab this precept to show Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. That which have been is now, and that which is to be have already been, and God required that which is past. So Romans 15 and 4, we're supposed to learn from the scriptures that was written aforetime. And when we read in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and 15, the Most High always has this same cycle coming through, right? Even with these doctrines, right? Like the New Covenant doctrine, it died down, but it's gonna come back through, and it's gonna recycle people. This is how the Lord sifts. This is one of his sifting agents, right? He had these doctrines just keep coming back, keep the dial for a little bit, then they come back. So everything that has been is gonna happen again. So what we are waiting on right now is the second Exodus. It's gonna be a little different, but we are waiting on a second Exodus. Shalom to everybody that's tuning in. If you got any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 7. Jeremiah 23 and 7.
That's the book of Jeremiah. Chapter 23.
While he getting at another thing too, and it's inspired me to do this lesson because Captain Jeremiah, he used to always say, you got to watch somebody that's always complaining. And complaining in the Bible is simply murmuring, right? And we're going to get a couple of precepts to show you murmuring, right? You always got to watch somebody that's complaining, because that means they're ungrateful. They're not thankful for being in the knowledge of the truth, man, no matter what they're dealing with, right? But go ahead, King.
Just the book of Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord,
right,
that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all the countries where I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land.
Right. So this is exactly what we're waiting on, to go back home, man. In these last days, we're waiting to go back home. Right. And Jeremiah is prophesying about the last days. It's what they call a dual prophecy, because it happened also in the time of Nebuchadnezzar, when we got delivered from Babylon. But it's going to happen again, because what is this place called? It is called North America. So this is how brilliant the Most High is, where he can make things like this happen. Right. The Most High God, Yahweh, Yahweh Shah, man. So let's get into the lesson, man. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 3 and 15. Right. Hebrews chapter 3 and 15. And this lesson is touching on how our forefathers, just like how our forefathers do right now, our fathers and our grandfathers and our family members, they be complaining about, the Hebrew Israelites. That's all they topic be, is complaining about the Hebrew Israelites, instead of understanding that we're explaining to them like, bruh, we're about to get up out this place and go to a land that's ours, that we can call ours. Because guess what? That's what our people complain about the most. We need our own land. We need our own money. We get treated like this. We get gunned down in the street. No justice, no peace. But here it is. We out there trying to offer them that through the spirit of Yahweh, Yahweh Shah. And they murmur, they complain like they did in the wilderness. Come on now, let's just use wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You think they wasn't complaining in Egypt? Like, damn, bro. It's the same thing here. That's why this place is called Sodom and Egypt. So it's almost guaranteed that they was complaining in Egypt also, and they wanted to get out of Egypt. But when they got out of Egypt, guess what? They wanted to go back. So this second Exodus, the Lord ain't doing it that way, right? He's only taking the ones that's heart is right with him. Back then in Egypt, he took all the Israelites out, but not this go around. That's why we got to get right now, man, because it's not going to be like the first Exodus, right? So let's get that Hebrews 3, and let's start at 15.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15.
Yes, sir.
For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our
Hebrews
infirmity.
3 and 15, King.
I'm in 4 and 15, so like it. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, and verse 15. While it is said, today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the provocation.
Right? Harden not your heart. We know what that's talking about. Your mind, right? That means being stiff-necked, being disobedient to the words of the Most High God, right? You got to understand, it's cool. Like, you know, you can look at us however you want to, but at the end of the day, you got to obey these words. And I got a quick precept, you know, that I love bringing this precept out because it actually sticks to me. Because I mean, like I say in my lessons, like people will look at me, brothers and sisters, you know, when they walk past, they'll look at me and be like, this ain't nothing but a nigga right here who think he knows the Bible. But guess what? They thought the same thing about the men that was with Yahushua HaMashiach. And this is Acts chapter 4 and 13. It says, now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John, right? This is Peter, the rock, and perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men. Unlearned and ignorant men. This is what they thought of Peter and John, man. And this is after Yahushua increased them. This is after Yahushua increased them and left. This is how everybody was looking at them, like unlearned and ignorant men. That's how they look at us. How much more they look at us like that, right? It says they marveled and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahushua. Hey, and us too, right? If you read Revelations chapter 19, it said that the spirit of Yahushua Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy, right? So Yahushua also told us that he will be with us in these days too when we be out there prophesying, right? So they look at us the same way. You can look at us however you want to, but at the end of the day, we got the words of life, man. So Khan, let's go back to that. Hebrews 3 and start at 15 again. Shalom, everybody that's tuning in. Lord willing, you get edified. Let me know when Captain get in too.
So like I'm marking.
Okay.
All right, back to Salaki.
Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Hebrews chapter 3 and verse 15. While it is said, today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the provocation.
All right, keep going.
For some, when they had heard,
you cut out. You cut out. So I'm going to read it until you come back in. It says, for some, when they had heard, did provoke. Right? Imagine that. Like the same thing that's in the wilderness. We telling our people that there is a land flowing with milk and honey that is waiting on them. We talking about it takes two people to carry a cluster of grapes. We telling our people we got a promised land waiting on us, man. Just like back then, it says, for some, when they had heard, did provoke. Moses was telling them the same thing. Moses telling, hey, bro, we're on our way to the homeland. Let's go. Right? But guess what? Are we about to see? They wanted to go back home. They wanted to go back to Egypt, man. Like Jeremiah 30 say, like Jeremiah 31 say. They wanted to go back to Egypt, man. Right? So I'm going to keep going. It says, Shalom, Captain. It says, for some, when they had heard, did provoke, howbeit not all that came out of Egypt by Moses, but with whom was he grieved 40 years? And it's a question mark. It says, was it not with them that had sinned, right? Idolatry, right? The golden calf. And idolatry today is many more ways to, fill those shoes of idolatry. right? And we go over this all the time at camp. Like, you can worship your shoes, man. You know, you can worship video games, right? You can worship women. You can worship a lot of different things that people don't look at it as worship, but it's idolatry, man. Anything people worship cigarettes, bro. You can worship anything, right? So it says, but with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcass fell in the wilderness? Right? And that's a position you do not want to be in. Your carcass to fall in this place, right? You want to be able to make it to the homeland and actually enter into his rest, right? It says, and to whom swear he that they should not enter into his rest, but to them that believe not. So I'm gonna read that again. To whom swear he that they should not enter into his rest, but to them that believe not. Right? Because ain't that what Yahweh told them? Yahweh told them. He says, all y'all from 20 years old and upward are gonna die in this wilderness, man. Nope, y'all not making it into my homeland flowing with milk and honey, since y'all don't believe. That's why it says, but to them that believe not. Then it says, so we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief. Right? So going all the way back to the Old Testament, it was about they didn't believe that there was a homeland. And when we look at our people today, that's why they don't want to talk to us. That's why they always tell us they have more important things to do. Right? They tell us all kind of different things that they got to do. And it's like, none of that is important. What's important is the Lord is he's trying to give you your heritage back and give you your homeland back. But I mean, you clearly see on the highways and byways how our people react to it, right? Malachi, you still there? And Captain, whenever you got something, just go ahead. All right, so let's go to Hebrews 4 now. Let's go to the next chapter.
It's the book of Hebrews 4 and verse 1.
So where I started in chapter 3, it goes into chapter 4. So it's like we just kept reading. So start at 1.
Verse 1. Let us therefore fear, lest the promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it.
Right. And that's something we do not want to do. We do not want to come short of entering into the Lord's rest. We all need rest, bro. Our body, mind, soul, we all need rest, bro. We are getting wore out. Right. And that's a prophecy. Right. Go to Daniel chapter 7, I believe it is 7 and 25. All right. So it says, let us therefore fear. We're supposed to fear God and keep his commandments. Right. It says, lest a promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. So just because the Lord promised us a land with milk and honey, that don't mean that you're going to make it, because he promised us as a nation that he will give us a land flowing with milk and honey. But you can come short of it, right? By simply not doing what he instructed you to do, man. You simply climbing up some other way. And you know what that's talking about. You got that? I think it's 25.
Jeremiah
Daniel,
25?
Not Daniel. Yes, sir.
Right.
Daniel 7 and 25. Yes, 25. Yes, sir. Shalom, shalom, everybody that's tuning in. Shalom, Anthony Knox, Mahar, Shawab, Tajah, Tweezy 500. Shalom. Tahawam. I'm about to slaughter your name, King. Yashay Ahu. I think I got it right though. Yashay Ahu. And Shalom, Peacekeeper Music. You got that?
You said it's Daniel what?
7 and 25. Hey, and another thing too, a lot of people say they believe, but the battlefield for, the spiritual battle is already being set up. It's already being set up. Like a lot of people is already given over to their own ruins. They just don't see it. They think they got all the faith in the world, but then when they have to start going with those things that they used to having, then that's when your faith gonna kick in, right? And that's why it tells you got to have the fear. When you got the fear, you won't care about none of that, because you'll be fearing what the Lord will do to you, man. Shalom, Emmanuel Williams. Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25. It says, I, Daniel, was grieved in spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head. I'm
11
on
and
verse
25.
like verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be
Right.
given. Okay.
Go ahead, King.
It's saying they shall be given into his hand until a time and times in the dividing of time.
And that's why he have the ability to have us. So now we're not working 8-hour shifts to make ends meet. Now we got to work 10 and 12 hours to make ends meet. And if, like Yahushua said, if those days wasn't shortened, even the elect, hey, we will get wore out to the point where it would be, we'll just be finished, man. Because he'll keep going. He'll keep making it worse and worse for us. Oppression. He'll keep oppressing us. But in this prophecy, it says he shall speak great words against the Most High. And this is talking about with action. This ain't talking about literally, flipping a bird in the sky and saying F you the Most High. It's talking about with his actions, right? Legalizing things that's clearly against the Bible. That's speaking great words against the Most High. And it says, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, right? The ones that's vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked and the wicked deeds that's going on in Babylon the Great and in the rest of the world, right? It says, and think to change times and laws, right? Like daylight savings, things like that. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times in a dividing of time. So that's why in Hebrews 4:1, it says, let us therefore fear lest a promise being left us of entering into his rest. The kingdom of heaven is called the Most High God's rest because he's giving you the ability to rest, right? No hardcore bondage, no sorrows, no nothing, right? Complete peace. Satan, he does not have the authority to rule over you with the curses, right? And that's something I wholeheartedly believe, that Satan is over the curses. Satan makes sure the curses is put on our people, and he doing his thing, man. He do it well because he perfect at what he do, right? So one more time, read verse 1 and let's just run through it.
This is the book. Are you back in Hebrews?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 4 and verse 1. Let us therefore fear, lest a promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Verse 2. For unto you was the gospel preached, and as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it.
So Hebrews chapter 3 and 4 is beautiful chapters. It explains that the gospel was preached to them as well as it is to us now. So we can actually use this, the first Exodus and second Exodus, and put them together and see how it's going to play out for the most part, right? Because it says, for unto us was the gospel preached, Isaiah 61, right? And the gospels, right? And it talks about us entering into the kingdom, us talking about us having slaves, right? Us eating the riches of the Gentiles and not having to do anything, right? Being the priest of the Most High God, right? Enjoying everything that Yahushua gets to enjoy. I don't know if you know, but what is it? Revelations chapter 5. Let me get it right quick. Let me get it. Hey, go to Romans 8 and 17.
Hey, if you need us to pull a scripture, we can pull a scripture.
Okay, Romans 8 and 17. So it says right here in Revelation chapter 5 and 12, it says, saying with a loud voice, worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. We know the Lamb is Yahushua HaMashiach. So he's going to receive all of these things, right? And if you read Romans chapter 8 and 17, read that right quick. Romans 8 and 17, King. All right, Con. So Romans 8 and 16, it says, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. It says, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God and joint heirs with Hamashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together, right? So when we read Revelations 5 and 12, it said Yahushua received everything. But when we read Romans chapter 8, it says that we are joint heirs. An heir is some you receive an inheritance that somebody that passed away, left for you. We're going to receive everything that Howard shall receive, and he has no problem sharing it with us. But we have to suffer first, right? Through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom. But going back to Hebrews 4:2, for unto us was the gospel preached as well as unto them, right? In the wilderness, right? The land flowing with milk and honey and everything that comes with it. It says, but the word preached did not profit them. And that's exactly how our people look at it today. They look at it like it's not profitable. Like, what is this going to do for me what do they call it? They don't call it ancient. They call it something. They say that was back then, but they call it something. What do they call it? Right? They throw like jabs and saying like that was back then. That book is old. That's the Old Testament. That's this, that's that. Right? So it's clear that, it doesn't profit them. They don't believe it, man. Right? For all the people that say they believe in for as many people that say they believe in the Bible, they really don't, man. And it's just that clear. Right? For, brothers and sisters that's really diligently, seeking the Lord in these last days. Right? But it says, did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. So gotta have faith, man, in these last days. And like I said, brothers and sisters' faith are going to be tested in these last days, man. Can we get a precept with that? Revelation chapter 3 and 10, I believe it is.
God, we'll get it.
This is Revelation chapter 10, verse 3.
3 verse 10.
3 and 10.
Revelation 3 and 10. 3 and 10. It says,
so like,
because
let's go to Isaiah 65 and 12 first.
You want to grab that?
Yes, sir. We're going to get that first, then we're going to.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 65 and verse 12.
Yes, sir.
Therefore, I will number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not.
So this is the outdated. That's a good one piece. Peacekeeper music, the water for that. But what he's reading right now, this is a future prophecy of the persecution of the church that we are about to deal with once again. And because we got to be tested, because through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom. We got to see who's really going to stand up for the Lord in these last days. And it happened once, it's going to happen again. The things that was written aforetime was written for our learning, right? And that God requires that which is past, right? So read that one more time.
Kind of say, therefore, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 65 and verse 12. Therefore will I number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not.
So it's easy. This is easy. When the Lord said, when I spake, they didn't hear, it's clearly talking about his men that he put out there on the highways and byways. I mean, we always say this, like we would be doing other things. We'll be in the world in foolishness, but the Lord chose us to go out there week in and week out to bring out his words that's in his book. Right? That's why, when people scoff at the word, they're not scoffing at us, they're scoffing at the word. Right? But keep going.
And it say, verse 13, therefore thus saith the Lord God, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed.
So keep going.
Verse 14, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 65, verse 14. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit.
Is that it? I think it's more. But we see what the Lord is explaining how bad it's about to be when we're talking about the persecution of the church, how bad it's about to get. And Peter spoke of it too. right? About those that obeyed not the gospel, right? Us being scarcely saved, and how much more the one that obeyed not the gospel. Now get Revelations chapter 3 and 10, because that's what this is going into. Revelations 3 and 10, the hour of temptation, the great tribulation period, right? The day of the Lord's wrath, however you want to, cut it. Jacob's trouble.
This is Revelation.
It's a lot.
This is You got it. This is Revelation 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
See, that's what it's about. It's about trying them that dwell upon the earth. You got to be tried. All of us have to be tested. But in 1 Corinthians 10 and 12, it says that the Lord, the elect, he will make a way for us to escape. But guess what? We still have to go through something. We don't know what it is. We don't know what lot we got to stand in, but we still got to go through something. We have to. We have to be tested, man. That's why Peter explained us being scarcely being saved, right?
Yeah.
We in situations where we're gonna be scarcely saved, man. We have to be tested. I mean, wouldn't you want to test somebody if you, let's just use, you had millions of dollars and you had friends with you, you're gonna want to test those friends on who you wanted to take with you. However you want to do it, but you're gonna test them nonetheless. But go ahead, Art.
This First Peter chapter 4, verse 17. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God?
Right. So it's going to begin. The judgment is going to begin with us, right? It's going to begin with us. So nobody's going to be able to sit this out. Everybody's going to see the chaos and the destruction and the famine and everybody's going to see it. Just because we haven't seen it yet, don't mean we're not going to see it. We're going to see something. It's going to be bad, right? So it's our job to prepare the people that actually do hearken to the words of the Lord, to prepare them and tell them which way to move and how to be and how they're supposed to, Lord willing, be saved. So again, nobody's going to get to see this out. I mean, nobody's going to get to sit this one out. Everybody's going to feel it. So a lot of times, the reason why we can't move people when we're out there on the streets is because they haven't seen anything. They're not scared. They're not afraid enough. The Bible says we persuade men through fear and trembling. Does it say trembling? I thought it was fear and
compassion.
I think it is compassion. But roughly paraphrasing. So, and we can't persuade them through fear. We can't persuade them through the fear of the judgments of the Lord because they haven't seen the judgments of the Lord, or they don't recognize it, or it hasn't hit them yet. A lot of times, a lot of Israelites that's in the truth right now, they have been persuaded through fear. They have seen the judgments of the Lord, and it woke them up. We have a hard job to do, to go out there and try to persuade men and women to hearken unto the Lord, but that's a hard job when they're not afraid, to make somebody afraid, right? But we're telling y'all this is going to happen. It's happened before, and it's going to happen again. That's all I got.
God, Malachi, you had something?
Yeah, I had a precept. Did you want me to finish on that what we just said?
We're gonna go back to Hebrews, yes, sir. Hey, but for the record, Jacob's trouble gotta happen before the rest of the world get their tribulation. Before these plagues come, Jacob has to be tested first. That's why I said judgment must begin with the house of Israel first. So like he said, nobody gonna sit this out. Straight up. Go ahead, King.
I got a book. This is the book of Job, chapter 5, and verse 20. I'm gonna start at 19. It says, "He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. It say, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. It says, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beast of the earth. So to make a long story short, the Lord is going to send these judgments, but the ones who serving him, Yahweh Shah, and you doing what you're supposed to do, you don't have to worry about these things. Just say his servants shall eat, and ye shall be hungry. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, and that's perfect, because that goes right with, because it said one of the verses, I believe it was verse 22, where it says, "Thou shalt." It says, "Neither shalt thou be afraid of the beast of the earth," right? Because in the first Exodus, guess how our people died in the wilderness? They died by serpents. Snakes bit them and killed them, man. Straight up. But the Lord telling us this second go around, we ain't gonna have to worry about that, man. Which is a beautiful thing, man. Right? So let's go back to Hebrews 4, because I want to finish that. Hebrews 4 and 3. Like I said, shalom, everybody that's tuning in. If y'all want to help build the lesson, hey, post some precepts.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 4 and verse 3.
There's enough people in here. Y'all got precepts.
For we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath, that they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world.
Hey, so look, and to add to, it says, for we which have believed do enter into his rest, as he said, because the Lord promised us as a nation that he was going to give us this land. But one scary thing about this story is the main character of this story, the main man of this story, didn't make it, which is Moses. He commanded that Moses to go up to the top of the mountain and die. And it was because of something Moses did, man. All right, he did that pissed the Lord off. So this is why we have to fear the Most High God and keep his commandments. We can't be willfully doing what we want to do, because a lot of brothers be doing that, man. They just willfully do what they want to do, right? Instead of following the specific details that the Bible has laid out for us. You cannot, we got to do exactly how it's instructed for us to do it, man. You can't go out and do it your own way, right? If at that point you will be a disobedient servant, right? But let's keep going.
God. It's a lot. It was a 4 and 3, wasn't it?
Verse 4 now.
Verse 4. For he spake in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise, and God did rest.
Salakia. Read it slow for me. We know on the seventh day it's talking about the day of rest, the Sabbath day, the day of that you're supposed to rest. So it's given the same analogy of the Sabbath day, how we're supposed to rest. But we're going to have, eternity rest in the kingdom, right? Just like the same way we have rest on the Sabbath, right? But go ahead.
For he spake in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise, and God did rest the seventh day from all his works.
Mm-hmm.
And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest.
Go ahead.
Seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter in, and they to whom it was first preached entered not in because of unbelief.
So that's what you're going back to. Unbelief. Right? Unbelief, man. People really, like a lot of people. Hey, and I want to bring this precept out again because it's from Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. You already know, Malachi, go to that John chapter 6 and let's start at 64. Because this is what Yahweh Shah told his man. Hey, let's see.
This is the book of John, chapter 6 and verse 64.
I love bringing this precept out.
It says, but there are some of you that believe not.
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh Shah knew from the beginning who they were that believed not and who should betray him.
And that's what Hebrews chapter 4 and 6 is saying, right? It says, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein. Not everybody gonna make it, man. Only some are gonna make it. And the scary thing too is like a lot of the 2/3 is the ones that that's already know that they Israelites, man. The ones that already know that they Israelites. That's some scary stuff. That's why we got to examine ourselves on a daily basis, because sometimes you'll catch yourself doing something and you got to snap out of it. That's why examining yourself is called for on a daily, man. Go ahead.
It say, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter in, and they to whom it was first preached enter not in because of unbelief. Again, he limiteth a certain day, saying,
Hey,
in David,
go back to the John.
oh yeah, it's like I'm trying to take notes, mark up the sword.
Hey, just go back and watch the video, King.
This the book of John, chapter 6 and verse 64. But there are some of you that believe not, for Yahushua knew from the beginning who they were that believed not and who should betray him.
Keep on.
And he said, therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me except it were given unto him of my Father.
So only ones that's gonna make it is the ones that Yahweh has chosen to make it, man. Like you know, like the precept saying in John 15 and 16, you have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained that you go and bring forth fruit. There's a, you know, when he wake you up into the knowledge of the truth, we give you, that's him telling you to come forth. Like, what you got for me? I woke you up, now what you got for me? And we all have to put in our brick. We all have to do our diligent research and go out there and, hey, show out, man. That's what the Lord wants you to do. He wants you to go out there and show out, man. And when I say show out, I'm not talking about how the world explains show out. I'm talking about show, you know, that you what do you say? Psalms 94. We're gonna rise up against the evildoers, right? Really stand up for him in truth and sincerity, right? But go ahead.
It says, therefore, also like it. Verse 66. From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him.
And these are the ones that's not gonna make it in because of unbelief. And it's just that simple. And that's why, you know, all camps, you know, they got all kind of different brothers coming in and out, right? Because a lot of those brothers ain't chosen, man. Right? That's why we say the hopeful elect. Tazamak, the water, he dropping them in for us, man. The water. So I'm gonna read this one right quick. So this is Hebrews 10 and 26. Captain, did you have something?
I did, but go ahead though. I can wait.
Okay, Con. So it says, for if we sin willfully after we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. And this is a beautiful precept. Why? Because Yahushua's blood is who covers you. And guess whose kingdom it is? Guess who this kingdom was given to? Yahushua HaMashiach, man. So if you sinning willfully, not only his blood not gonna cover you, he ain't gonna let you enter into the kingdom. Why would he? Why would he share anything with you if you not doing specifically what he told you to do? You climbing up some other way, whether it's religions or trying to do what he told you to do, but you putting a little twist on it. You know what I'm saying? Brothers really be doing that, right? We got to do exactly what he told us to do, and that's that, man. That's final. There's no other way. So that's a beautiful precept. He got another one too. This is what I was scripture I was quoting earlier, 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. It says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Right? We all have to examine ourselves, because even this same man right here, Paul, he explains to you. He says in Romans chapter 7, he says, the things that I want to do, I don't do, and the things that I don't want to do, that do I. So he letting you know, like, bro, I got to examine myself too, just like you do. And we know this, man. We wouldn't compare to Paul, man. We cannot compare to none of these righteous, none of our righteous forefathers, right? We got to follow in their footsteps, just like we follow in Yahushua's footsteps. That's all we can do, right? But I'm going to read it again. It says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves, right? Starting with studying to show yourself approved, right? And that's how you know if brothers is studying too, because they going to constantly have stuff to bring out, constantly. Like, you're not going to just hold it in. You're going to constantly have stuff to bring out. If not, it's clear you're not studying, bro. It's clear. I mean, it's like that burning, it's like a burningness in you where you just got to show the brother. You know how it is? Like when you cop the new coupe, you got to pull up on family, friends. You got to show them that you just got this. right? When you grow in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you're going to show them what you learned. You're going to show them. But it says, know ye not your own selves, how that Yahushua Mashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. So, Khan, the water for the precept. Shalom Natali Stein. Shalom chosen by Yah. The water for everybody tuning in, man. And Lord willing, you get edified. Go ahead, Captain.
All right, Khan. Go ahead, Zion.
There's Acts 14:22. Acts 14:22. Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of God.
I don't know if you brought this out, Cap, but
I quoted it.
This is okay. So this is how we're gonna get the kingdom, is going through tribulation. Like this is Yahushua said his burden is light, right? And the only reason why it's not light for some people is because they haven't left the world. They still dabbling in the world, right? They're still cleaving, holding on to the world, trying to get the money, trying to get the nice cars, nice shoes. They're trying to still cleave unto the world instead of cleaving onto the kingdom to come, the kingdom that's going to be here forever. And when you go and start cleaving onto the kingdom that's going to be here forever, you're going to go through much tribulation. It's going to start getting hard, right? It's going to start getting hard for the most part, as far as you having to build up courage to tell your father, no, I'm not going to give you no cigarettes, right? Or your brother or whoever you may hold in high esteem or high regard. You're going to have to tell them, no, I'm not going to be the one to cause you to go into sin, right? But read that for me one more time.
This is Acts 14:22, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of God.
Enter into much tribulation, go through much tribulation to enter into the kingdom of God. This is how we're going to get it. We're going to be spiritually bruised when we get in there. It's going to be hard. It's going to be rough. This is not going to be easy. And a lot of times you're going to be tempted and tested by the people that are closest to you, right? And that's what's going to be hard. That's all I got.
And portrayed by the people that's closest to you. That story of Yahushua and Judas, you think that was just there? He the only one that's going to get portrayed like that was close to him?
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was a part of the 12.
Well,
like, let's be real here, bro. I mean, are you ready for that? Any of us? You got to look at everybody like that. Like, for real. I mean, you just never know. Yahushua knew, but you don't. We don't. We don't know.
And that's why it's so important to I plan on doing this lesson over brotherhood. It's good to love the brother and trust in the brethren, but it's more important to trust in the Most High God. Like, we really got to understand on trusting the Lord instead of trusting in someone that we care about. Because when you trust in the Lord, a lot of your cares has gone away. A lot of your rough times is gone. Like it's you casted it upon him, because it's like the Most High God got it, right? You can't trust in man. It says, can you get Jeremiah 17 and I believe it's 5 and
making flesh and arm.
That one, and it's like a 5 and 7, I think.
Okay. Hey, and shalom, everybody that's tuning in. Melody Tunes just came in. Barakiah Ben Yehuda Israel just tuned in. Shalom, everybody.
Right.
Shalom, you get edified, even if it's just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, bro, I ain't gonna like. Sometimes I watch the elders' videos, and I'll watch the whole video, but it's just that one thing that stick with me throughout the whole day, because that's something it's stuck with you for a reason. Figure out why. Even if it's just a precept that you think about, you'll be thinking about it for 2 days straight. You'll be like, dang, hey, let it stick with you. Right. Do something with it. You know what I'm saying? So even if it's just a little bit, Lord willing, we get you some education, man.
17%.
5 and 9.
I thought there was 2. This is Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 9.
No, 17, 5 and 9.
Oh, okay.
Jeremiah 17, 5 and Jeremiah 17 and 9.
Okay, this is Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and make it flesh his arm.
It says, "Cursed be man that trusteth in man, and make its flesh his arms." Like you trust in your gun, or you trust in your strength to get you out of danger or harm's way. You trusting in that instead of the Most High God. The Bible says, "Cursed be he that trusted in man and trust in your flesh or your strength." Right? Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord.
And whose heart departed from the Lord. Verse 7.
Verse 7. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is.
Now, these scriptures are probably like, we've heard it. These are simple, but these are what's going to get you through the hard times. Like, why are these things happening to me? Why? Because you ended up trusting in your own flesh. You ended up trusting in somebody else. I tell my wife to not even trust in me. Like, she can put some trust in me, but ultimately she got to trust in the Lord. Like her main trust should be in the Most High God. Like I'm like, I don't trust like that. I don't trust my mother like that. My daughters like that. My sons like that. My ultimate trust is in the Most High God, man. Right? That he's gonna take care of them, and his way is better than my way, right? So whatever he sees fit to do, that's what he sees fit to do. And I pray, that the Most High God take care of them. That's all I can do when I'm not around them. But at the end of the day, my trust has to be in the Most High God. That's small, but it'll get you through. I promise. It'll get you through a lot of hard times, right? That's all I got though.
For sure.
All right. And we're gonna read a couple of precepts. Get yours, and then we're gonna read the precepts on the comment section because they want to help build this lesson. All praise to the Most High God. Y'all hit the like button. Y'all don't even gotta hit the subscribe button. We ain't asking y'all for no money or nothing. Just hit the like button so these videos can get out, man.
We don't get no monetization or nothing, so don't worry about us getting no.
Yeah, we don't even want that, man. We got hard working jobs, man. We don't want nobody's money. We just want our brothers to be edified, our brothers and sisters to be edified. And if you got any questions, once again, for the ones that's tuning in late, feel free to ask, and there's no stupid questions. Right? I know a lot of people, they'll see a question and they'll be like, that's a stupid ass question. I'm not answering that. Unless, I guess I can't say there's no stupid questions. I've seen some. Just ask a reasonable question. If you got a reasonable question, ask it. Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Matthew chapter 5 and verse 11. It says, "Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake." So going into what the captains are bringing out, it's going to be a lot of that when you're walking in the faith, and when they see how you move and it's different from the way they move. You're going to get a lot of reviling. Reviling goes into getting on somebody in a way that's disrespectful, mocking, or insulting. So it's like even if it's a rebuke, it can be insulting. But, so just treat everybody with humility. But it can be, back to the point, it can be from your closest of kin, man. Your closest people. It can be your wife. Like Captain say, you got to ultimately trust in the Most High and do what he say, regardless of how you feeling, regardless of how people coming at you, regardless of what happens at all. What happens in any way. That's why.
Hey, cut yourself up, man. Cut yourself up with the sword of the Spirit. All right, Khan, this is Tazamak Yasharala. He posted John 15 and 16. And you know what I love the most about lessons? I'm serious. Is like I have a lesson in front of me, but it'll go a different direction, man. And that's all the Spirit. That's how you know it's the Spirit. When they take you in a different direction, man. And it's edifying, man.
Hey, that's what happened to me yesterday. That's exactly what happened. I was like, I wasn't planning on going. I really wasn't planning on going into this, man.
But that's beautiful, though. That is real beautiful, man. Yeah. The Spirit, like, let's go this way.
Yeah.
All right, so this is John 15 and 16. He says, "Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you." So we don't wake up, one day and just be like, you know what, I'm going to serve the Most High God today, right? The only people that do that is the Christian church. But the names Yahweh, Yahweh Shah, you have to be chosen to serve those names. Those are scary names, right? Those are fearful and dreadful names, because everything you see happening on the earth, those names cause that to happen. Because when you look at the Christian church, Jesus and God is all love, but we know Yahweh, Yahweh Shah causes all these things to happen, man. No matter from the elderly to the young, man, to the children, the youth. But he says, "You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you, commanded you, that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit shall remain, that whatsoever ye ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you." So when it talks about bringing forth fruit, I look at this as a dual scripture, as in you have to go out to the highways and byways and bring forth fruit, and you have to bring forth fruit meet for repentance, meaning you got to change too. You got to bring forth fruit within yourself, right? You got to make sure that people glorify the Most High God through you, right? Because that's what Paul. Hey, let's go to Galatians chapter 1 right quick. Hey, can you hold Mark chapter 4? Because I want to get back.
Whenever I got to appreciate that.
All right, God. So let's start at where I want to start at. Let's start at 18. Let's start at 20. Let's just start at 20.
You want me to get it? I'll get the Galatians 1:18. It says Galatians 1 and 20. Galatians 1 and 20. Now the things which I write unto you, behold, before God I lie not. Afterwards I came to the regions of Syria and Cilicia.
Cilicia, yes, sir.
Cilicia, and was known by face unto the churches of Judea which were in Christ. But they had heard only that he which persecuted us in times past now preacheth the faith which once he destroyed.
Right, because if you read the book of Acts, they didn't want to be around Paul. They like, bro, no, he's the dude that we be running from. He was on his way to Damascus to persecute the church. They did not want to be, if you read the book of Acts, you know, they did not want to be around Paul. So it says, but when they had heard only, they didn't hear nothing good. They said they had heard only that he which persecuted us in time past now preacheth the faith which once he destroyed. Right, now read the next verse. I'll read it. It says, and they glorified God in me. That's what you want people to do. You want people to look at you and be like, dang, brother, you really changed. You really did that, man. And they get it, you know, the energy will pass off. You know, the spirit will pass off, and they want to change. They want to start doing things that you doing. That's how you bring forth fruit, man. What Yahweh Shah said, he says, evil. He said, what did he say? An evil mind cannot bring forth good fruit. Neither can good fruit bring forth. Roughly paraphrasing. I know you know what I'm talking about. But the objective is you want people to glorify God through you, in you. I say in you. You want people to glorify God in you, right? Because that name you have, when they see you and they see your change, guess what name you give them? Yahweh, Yahweh Shah did this, not God and Jesus Christ, man. Right? Go ahead, King.
You talking to me? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, and verse 6. It says, so like it, verse 7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So just going back into the point the captain was making, it's a good reason. It's plenty of examples why you should fear the Most High. Like, look at just everyday things that happen. I seen a video, not a video, but somebody that I knew. I ain't know him too well. I knew of him. I met him before, but it was just somebody from around, you know, a regular guy. This man strangled his mama to death. And you would think about that and you would think that's evil. That's of Satan. But the Most High said he created light and he created darkness. He created peace and he created evil. So the most evil thing you can think of He is the creator of it. So, and that's good reason to fear him and go and repent and bring forth that fruit.
Hey, but a lot of people don't like hearing that, though. They don't like hearing those kind of things, that the Lord is in control of things like that. Straight up. They don't like hearing that. They want to hear God is all love. But you have to get rid of that Christianity mindset. You got to throw out everything you was taught in the Christian church and be retaught again. Straight up, man.
Hey, so
All right.
also,
Go ahead.
kind of brought this out yesterday in Ezekiel. I'll just get it again. Just the top part of it. It says, Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 31, it says, and they came unto thee as the people cometh, and they sat before thee as my people, and they heard thy words, but they will not do them. So the same thing that happened back then is the same thing that happened now. A lot of times our people will come and portray to really be concerned. They want to be a part of the movement and the new trend, but they really, as soon as camp close out, you don't hear from them, you don't see them again. They're not faithful, they're not loyal to any ministry. They don't produce no works in this truth. But it says, but they will not do them. So like I'm gonna start it again. It says, and they came unto thee, and as the people cometh, and they sat before thee as my people, and they heard thy words, but they will not do them. So this is what you don't want to do. This is the Christian church, and this is what you don't want to do. You don't want to act like you're hearing the word, but you really don't. I mean, you don't do it, right? Just a forewarning. There's something you don't want to do, because our people did it back then, and they still doing it today.
Hey, that would be crazy. Like, think about it like this: you faking the funk, right? You appearing righteous before everybody,
right?
And the Most High actually sees what you're doing, and you end up dying at the end. What was all that for? What did you gain?
Mm-hmm.
What did you gain? You doing this for you? You doing this for the Lord first and foremost, and you doing this for you and your household, right? And your brothers and sisters, that you are trying to be a light to. Bro, we not doing this to be seen of men in a like the Christian church do, and some Pharisees, right, in a nation of Israel. Because we're not about to sit here and tell you that everybody is righteous in a nation of Israel. That would be a lie. That would be a lie, man.
It says the joy of the hypocrite is but a moment.
Yes, sir. But for a moment, and our moment is different from the Most High, right? A day with the what is that? A day is like 1,000 years or something like that to the Lord.
Right.
Roughly paraphrasing. Somebody said it. Precept. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3 and verse 20. It say again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because thou hast not given him warning, he shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he hath done shall not be remembered, but his blood will I require at thy hand. So long story short, the only reason I pulled this out is because you really can't be faking the funk. Like if you ain't all the way in, you got one foot out the door, one foot in the door, you gotta get all the way in. It's not gonna be no, pity patting around with it. He ain't dealing like that. He say if you return back to iniquity and you die in your iniquity, none of the righteous things you did will be remembered.
And it's just that simple.
It is. It is.
All right, Con. So,
we see that though. Go ahead though.
Go ahead.
No,
you said go ahead.
Oh, forget it. Go ahead. I don't want to bring up nothing no more.
All right, Con. You had brought out earlier why certain people they stray off, right? And I wanted to, and it led me to Mark chapter 4. I know that's the precept I wanted to bring out from what you said earlier. So Mark chapter 4 and 14, it says, the sower soweth the word, and these are they by the wayside. And these is red letters, where the word is sown, but when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. And these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground, who, when they have heard the word, immediately receive it with gladness, right? And you receiving it with gladness, it's not just talking about you just receiving it with gladness, just that camp, right? When you hearing the word, we talking about brothers that endure for a year, 2, 3. We seen brothers endure for 10 years, and Satan come and choke the word out of them, straight up, man. But it says, verse 17, and have no root in themselves, right? These are brothers that's faking the funk, right? They appearing righteous before everybody, but they not deeply rooted. They really not, man. It says, and have no root in themselves, and so endure but for a time. Like I said, whether it's a year, 2, 3, 10, right? I've seen so many brothers. I've seen a lot of brothers that was in the truth 7+ years that still did not endure. Like back in the world, man. But it says, and so endure but for a time. Afterward, when affliction or persecution arise for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. And like I always go over, the word offended goes back to, if you go to the blue letter, it means to lose faith, right? It's not the only definition, but that's a big one. Offended is you losing faith. So it says, after persecution and affliction come from who? We just read where it says Satan cometh immediately. Just like Satan is the one who brought the persecution and affliction to Job, right? So it makes sense that Satan is the one that's bringing forth these curses on our people. And this he having his way with our people. Like, and that's for sure. But it says, and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts, right? Salakia, I'm at verse 18. And these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lust of other things enter in, choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. So when you do start, having things like this happen to where sometimes we think we being blessed by the Most High God, but Satan can bless you too, man. And that's just facts. Read Luke chapter 4 and read Matthew chapter 4. Satan was willing to bless Yahweh HaMashiach if he would bow down to him. And you bow down to Satan, Esau will show you how to bow down to Satan. Esau will show you. He want to show you. Esau want to show you how to bow down to Satan.
God. Hey, and it's to get you to keep doing what you're doing, right? So once you start seeing that blessing, you're gonna be like, hey, that had to be from the Lord, but then in return, it was really from Satan. And then you're just gonna keep following after that pattern because you know what I'm saying, like just like Satan going to Yahweh to talk about Job. He was like, he's only doing these things because you bless him. He's not doing this because he really loves you. So that's what it's all there for. It's there to prove you, to see if you really love the Most High God, to see if you really love him, not regardless if he bless you or not, right? It's that you really stand for him and you really love him and his laws and his judgments. Okay.
Yes, sir. And this is all Satan, Satan do. Right. We're in a time where we should be being persecuted, afflicted. That's the times we in. We're not in the times to be prospering. That's a scary thing to prosper in these times. We're in a time where we should be getting afflicted, man. Right? What do you say? Give me 2 Ezra 9 right quick. Matter of fact, I'll get it. In 2 Ezra chapter 9, 9 and I think it's 22. This is what the Lord said. I'm going to start at 20. He says, so I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were coming to it. And I saw and spared it greatly, and have kept me a grape of the cluster and a plant of a great people. Which he's talking about, the elect within the elect, because the nation of Israel is the elect, but he has an elect within the elect, which is the 1/3, right? Which is that grape of the cluster of grapes. And then it says, let the multitude perish then. Right, all these people you see dying here on your left side and on your right side, the Lord, hey, he said, hey, bro, let them die. What can you say against that? It says, and then he tells you in Romans 9, who are you to reply us against God? it says, let the multitude perish then, which was born in vain. There are people on this earth that is born in vain, man.
Yeah.
It's sad to us because we have to deal with this reality, but this is the Lord's movie. This is how he wanted it to play out.
So like,
right? Go ahead.
Hey, just to add on to what you're saying, a lot of people will start to care for the unrighteous people. They'll start to care for them too much, and neglecting the righteous. And that's just kind of what was going on with Ezra, is that the angel told him, don't be too worried about the unrighteous. Be worried about the righteous, right? Because they're gonna scarcely make it. Those are the ones that you need to be worried about. We're so gun ho to try to save the unrighteous when we really need to worry about making sure this brother's in check. He's got, that this brother's not too worried about deep breakdowns. Make sure you got the basics first. That's something that's important, and that's very necessary. It's very needed. A lot of our people lose focus, and they think that going off and doing things and neglecting the righteous is the way to go, and it's not. It's not, man. We've had this situation, in the camp. I don't want to say, I hate to say it, but it's true. We go through these experiences, and it brings forth maturity. So we get to tell these stories. We ain't gonna say no names, but we get to tell these stories because we grow through this, right? But you can't be too concerned with those people that are outside of the truth. You want to do your part and go out there and do and teach the ones that's going to listen. Teach try to reach the 144 of the elect. But at the end of the day, these brothers is more important. These brothers that have chosen to serve and worship and stand for Yahweh, right? These brothers are more important than the ones that choose not to, man. A lot of people will spend their whole day and night to try to worry about seeing if they concern and get them a pillow and make sure they got a blanket in the bed. But your brother right next to you that's with you every day and struggling, you ain't even seeing him. You know what I'm saying? And he hurting, he's struggling. Our focus, man, we got to make sure our focus is on check and it's on point. But a lot of times we lose that. But that's all I got.
You used a good example. Well, I think was it Thawam or you? It was either they said let's say we give out food, right, to the people that aren't in our camp, and then they join the camp, and then you're not getting taken care of.
Right.
It's like I should have just not joined the camp. Right. If you gave me everything I needed when I was not in your camp, but then when I was in it, so it's just like an in-house thing. It's where sometimes you got to focus and make sure the house is in order, and then you can give to the neighbors.
Hey, and a lot of, you got to be careful with the camp word. You know how brothers is with the camp. It's all about the camp. The camp. But, okay, so would brotherhood be better for you? Or congregation, would that be better for you?
Right.
Like, come on, it's all the same, bro. Like, even, bro, the whole nation coming out of Egypt, it was called a camp, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It was called a camp. That 600,000 people was called a camp. Called a congregation. We see both of those in the book of Exodus and Deuteronomy. Right, but look, I'm gonna drop down to verse 13 because I'm on 2nd Ezra 9. I didn't get my point yet, but I'm gonna drop down to 13 because this is what he was touching on. It says, "And therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished, and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created." I mean, bro, Yahweh already said a man shall be known by his fruits. I mean, come on. If they just out here just being completely wicked, they didn't heard the Bible time and time again, bro. What do you think they are? I mean, come on, bro. We can't claim to have all this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, but then we can't apply it in an area like that. It's like, bro, you can look at somebody and just be like, bro, you probably not going to make it. Just like we say we the hopeful elect. You can look at another brother and be like, bro, you probably not going to make it. You probably the hateful elect. Straight up. Go ahead, though, King. You said better.
Go ahead. This is the book of Galatians. It's like this is the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 10. Going back into the point Captain was making. It says, "As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith." So it say when you got an opportunity, do your alms. But it say especially unto them who are of the household of faith. And they go back to that word, camp, congregation, brotherhood. This is talking about your brothers that's in the truth, man. This ain't talking about worldly people, man. It's talking about especially them of the household of faith. They which believe and show that by their actions. Like Captain said, the brothers who chose to stand up for the Most High. The brother right next to you, the brothers you with all the time. The brothers that's in the same walk.
Yes, sir. Hey, so let's go back to Second Ezra Salakia. We was long-winded. So let's go back to Second Ezra chapter 9 and 22. He says, "Let the multitude perish then, which was born in vain." We just touched on that a little bit. It says, "And let my grape be kept and my plant." This is the point I wanted to get out of this. "For with great labor have I made it perfect." This is talking about the things that you go through. And this is going back to Mark chapter 4, right? We're supposed to be in a time where we are getting afflicted and persecuted. Why? Because this is what's going to make us perfect in the last days, right? Especially, situations like, we already come from the bottom. So in a time of homeless, what is that? A time of bro, I'm talking about peanut butter and syrup sandwiches. We talking about sugar water. We talking about them kind of shit, bro. I'm talking about really live that. So what Esau got to offer us, if we don't take his, what is that? Nothing. We didn't live that life already. And we'll go back to that for the Lord. If that proves our loyalty to the Lord, we doing that.
God.
Straight up. And that's me boasting in the Lord. Right?
Yeah.
So it says, I'm going to read it again. "And my plant, for with great labor have I made it perfect." The Lord, man, it's a blessing. Ace, post it. Tajah, if you in here, post that Hebrews 12 again. The joyous, seemeth to be joyous. But with great labor have you made it perfect. The Lord, it's a blessing for you to be getting your ass whipped in these last days, man. And it's not going to seem like it. We know. Peter already explained it to us. Let me get that right quick and get a brother a second to pull out that precept. If not, I'm going to pull it out. Hebrews 4 and 1 Peter 4 and 12. It said, "Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you." Remember, Yahweh Shah said that in Revelation chapter 3, where he said that the hour of temptation shall come upon everybody to try them that dwell upon the earth. So he said, "Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you," to see what you about. That's how the Lord see what you about. And a lot of people works be getting burnt up in them trials, man. It says, "Which is to try you, as though some strange thing has happened unto you. But rejoice in so much as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's suffering." Now, a lot of people, they go through weird situations, and I done been through a lot of weird situations. And I'm talking about situations where you will be kind of embarrassed to speak about, and you would look at it and be like, nah, this can't be partakers of Yahushua suffering. This can't be what it's talking about. But no, it don't matter what you're suffering from. That's part of it, man. It's part of it. And there's somebody else going through that too. Best believe that. That's something you have to keep in mind. And I know that's kind of like, it's like, okay, somebody else going through it. Right? We talking about it, in the truth. Somebody else is going through that. Right? It might be your favorite teacher that's going through it just because he's smiling on camera. Right? He going through something. And that's for sure. All right, Khan. So I get it. He didn't. I didn't get it. All right, so Hebrews 12, I believe it was 11. So Hebrews 12 and 11. "Now no chastening for the present seem to be joyous." Right? Nobody likes going through chastening, but at the end you're gonna see the You're going to be glorified, man. It says, but grievous. Grievous is hard, right? Some things we go through, it seems like it's too hard to go through, right? But the Lord will find a way for us to escape it. And then it says, nevertheless, afterward, it yieldeth the peaceable fruits of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. This creates patience. This creates hope, experience. It creates all of these different things that you need in your journey, in your walk, so that eventually you can become an elder. Because the elders done been there and done it, man. You better cleave to an elder. God, Tazamah got it. That's a good one too. This whole chapter is dealing with it, right? But Tazamah, Hebrews 12:8. But if ye be without chastisement, whereof of all partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons, right? Because there's a lot of people that ain't really going through nothing, man. They not. They living a nice life, and we see them on TV all the time. They ain't going through nothing, right? They went around the judgments of the Lord, right? The great labor that He uses to judge us, to make us perfect. They went around it and joined forces with Satan. They bypassed what the Lord's instrument that He uses to make us perfect. Okay. You have something else out? I'm trying to get this off of this.
I'd appreciate it.
Go ahead. Hey, after that, we're going to go back to the Hebrews and we're going to finish that.
Okay. I'm trying
This
to
is how you brothers love teaching, man. You gotta love teaching. Bro, I'm not joking. I could go all night. I'll go all night. For real. I will go all night, bro.
Oh man. Oh, praises to the Most High.
Go ahead, it's on you.
I'm trying to get a certain okay, here we go. This is Sirach 2 and 5 in the CEB. It say, because gold is tested with fire and acceptable people are tested in the furnace of humiliation. So like the captain, I think Captain Jeremiah, I don't know if that's the exact precept that he brought out, but it says the key point is the furnace of humiliation, and that it's different types of tribulations going on out here. Like if you a partaker, you're a partaker. If you in this walk and you're a partaker, then you're a partaker. So, it can go into humiliation. It can go to all many various different types of trials. So don't think you're not going through nothing as the next brother, because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's different. There's a lot of trials going on. Everybody going through it.
Hey, and you know what all this goes back to? Hebrews chapter 4. Enter into the Lord's rest. All of this. You got to go through everything we just explained in order to enter into his rest. So perfect. Let's go back to Hebrews chapter 4 now. You see how that all went together? All praises to the Most High God. All praises to the Most High God, Yahweh, Yahweh Shah, man. All right, Hebrews chapter 4, and we was at 6. Read 6 again, yeah.
The book of Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 6. Seeing therefore remaineth that some must enter in, and they to whom it was first preached entered not in because of unbelief.
Right, so it goes back to unbelief, not having faith. Remember, Paul said in Romans 14 and 23, he says, Salakia, it slipped my mind as soon as I thought of it. So Romans 14 and 23, and he that doubteth is damned if he eat. Why? Because he eat not of faith. For whatsoever is not of faith is sin. He's using the word eat because when you eat, you get full. So if you get, he says, and he that doubteth is damned if he eat, because he eateth not of faith. For whatsoever is not of faith is sin. Just like you eat a burger and you get full, right? You eat faith, you can be full of faith, right? Or you can eat doubt and you can be full of doubt. And it tells you, it breaks it down specifically and beautifully in Sirach chapter 2 about people that have faint heart and fearful hands, how the Lord is not going to defend them. So you got to do things to beef up your faith in these last days. Exercise your faith on little things like bills. Everybody got bills. So that's the perfect thing to use. Bills. Hey, that's what me and Captain started off with. We was using bills. I'm talking about bills was giving us all kind of Mickeys, boy. I'm telling you. I'm calling him like, bro, they just in, bro.
Right.
Oh, hey, for real, man. Hey, that story never gets old, bro. It never gets old. Never gets old. All right, so let's go back to Hebrews 4.
Verse 7. Again, he limiteth a certain day, saying in David, today, after so long a time, as it is said, today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts.
Go ahead.
For if Yahushua had given them rest, then would he not afterward have spoken of another day?
So this is right here. A lot of people will read this and think that it's talking about Yahushua HaMashiach when they say Jesus, and it's not. It's talking about Joshua. It says because if you replace it for if Joshua had given them rest, then would he not afterward have spoken of another day? Right, talking about the kingdom of heaven. Right. I'm going to show you. Let me get another translation. Right quick. I think it was a GNT. Let me see. Right, so this kingdom that it was talking about, it's talking about the kingdom of heaven, but back then it wasn't the kingdom of heaven.
Sorry, yeah, you ready for that, bro?
Huh?
Oh, Salakia. I know.
Is it 8? Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. We can hear you.
All right, Con. So this is Hebrews 4:8 in a GNT. It says, if Joshua, right, had given the people the rest that God had promised, which is the kingdom of heaven, God would not have spoken later about another day, which is the kingdom of heaven. Right? So that's what it's talking about. So read verse 8 again, but read through it.
Verse 8. For if Joshua had given them rest, then would he not afterward have spoken of another day?
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
There remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God.
Keep going.
That's like to say. There remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God. For he that is entered into his rest, he also hath ceased from his own works, as God did from his.
All right, trying to change, going out to the highways and byways, teaching our people, our rebellious people. We're gonna cease from all of those works and actually be able to enjoy rest. We ain't got to worry about a phone call, family members dying. We ain't got to worry about the spouse complaining about everything. You ain't got to worry about nothing, man. And it tells you that. Go to Revelation. I get it. Revelation chapter 21. It says that. Revelation 21 and 1. It says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. This is talking about the rapture, what the world calls the rapture. Are people going to be taken up in the sky? They're going to be given new bodies and a new mind and new bodies, and they're going to be brought back down. This is the New Jerusalem. It says, out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. We're going to be they're going to look beautiful, whoever those, they are. It says, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. And this is the point. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. So we're going to completely get to rest in that day for eternity. Completely get to rest. All praises to the Most High God, man.
So
We
that
look.
was really, yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm Salaki, never mind. I just watched the video.
Kind. So, kind, man, that's, ceasing from your works. You ain't got to worry about none of that, man. You ain't got to worry about trying to heal your people, right? Heal the blind, the lame, sick, like how I was explaining. We ain't got to worry about that no more. It's just complete rest where you can just actually rest, man. I know I want that. And I pray for that. I'm like, Lord, please, I want to enter into your rest. And it kind of sounded like, how Moses was. If you read Exodus, that's what Moses was doing. He said, please, Lord, let me enter into your rest. And the Lord said, stop asking me, you not making it. That's some scary stuff right there. And I keep that stuck in my mind because it's like, bro, if Moses didn't make it, bro, you got to be very diligent, man. You got to be very careful. You got to live your life careful. You can't be living your life YOLO, talking about you only live once or we all going to die someday, because them is the niggas that's going to get burnt up. They're going to get turned into a rotisserie chicken. And that is for real, man. That's a real thing. They gonna get turned into some rotisserie chickens, man. Somebody had a question I seen on here. I think I skipped it too, and I didn't want to skip it. Let me see. Okay, right here. Salakia. Barakiah ben Yehuda, Israel. He says, Shalom. Will all 12 tribes be in the wilderness or just the house of Judah? All 12 tribes will be in the wilderness, right? But there are certain situations, and I did a lesson over this on judging our people and judging the nations. Real quick, give me Isaiah 66 and 19 and Isaiah chapter 11. I get Isaiah chapter 11.
I got
66 and 19, go ahead.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 19. And I will send Salakia, and I will set a sign among them, and I will send those that escape of them unto the nations, to Tarshish, Pool, and Lud, that draw the bow.
Pay attention to that specifically. He says he's going to send the ones that escaped. Escape where? From Babylon the Great, the ones that made it. When he get us, he's going to take us to the wilderness. He's going to drop us off in the wilderness. He's going to give us commands to go out and gather the rest of our peoples. And he's given the places, some of the places that we're going to be going to. Go ahead.
To Tarshish, Pool, and Lud, that draw the bow, to Tubal and Yavon, to the isles afar off, that have not heard my fame, neither have seen my glory, and they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles.
You see that? It's certain people on this earth that really don't know the Lord, man. It sounds crazy, but that have not heard the fame and glory of the Most High God, man. And guess who's going to teach it to them? The ones that escaped, the ones that made it. But keep going. That's it, though, huh? No, that's not it.
And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations, upon horses, and in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain, Jerusalem.
So, Salakia, read that slow. Right? Go back to 20.
Verse 20. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 65 and 66, Salakia, in verse 20. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations, upon horses, and in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith the Lord.
It says that when we go get our brothers and sisters, they're gonna be coming out on all kind of things, right? And it gives names. It says on horses, chariots, mules, right? Regardless, they coming back home, man. Right? But go ahead.
It say, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of the Lord.
Go ahead.
And I will also take of them for priests and for Levites, saith the Lord, for as the new heavens and the new earth.
Go ahead.
That's it on it.
Now 22.
Salaki, you know that. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain.
Yeah, and this is talking about the 12 tribes of Israel, not just Judah. It's talking about all the 12 tribes. They're all going to be in the wilderness, man. Everybody. And Isaiah 11 is a precept. Isaiah 11:10, it says, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. Now, we just read that in Isaiah chapter 66. So this is talking about the same thing. Ensign and sign is the same thing, right? And it means a banner, right? The Lord is going to set a standard to let you know, like, his people is there. It says, and I will set a sign among them. That's what it's saying, 66 and 19. So Isaiah 11:10 is, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious, right? And it's talking about his rest again, like Hebrews chapter 4. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again, the second time, to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the isles of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, which is the 12 tribes, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth, the envy also of Ephraim. Ephraim is symbolic for the whole northern kingdom. It's not always, when I say Ephraim, it's talking about the northern kingdom. So it says, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. So the whole 12 tribes of Israel is going to be in the wilderness. And we're going to be in the wilderness, and there's not going to be no fighting with the blacks versus the Mexicans like you see in California, the West Coast. You're not going to see none of that in the wilderness. All right. And if you want to, you read that in Ezekiel chapter 37, right? That's the prophecy for that. So, Con, let's go back to Hebrews 4. We almost out of here, man. Them brothers over there look like they got a whole bunch of precepts.
Look how sturdy they posted up. Oh, man.
All right, Con. Hebrews.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 4. Y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 4, and verse 10.
Yeah. We had 11.
Verse 11. Let us labor, therefore, to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief.
So that's how you fall after. That's how you are considered an unbeliever by not laboring. And Yahushua gave you exactly what you should be doing on how to labor. Because, if it just said labor in the Bible, you wouldn't know how. So Yahushua came and gave us the example on how to labor. Like I said, you don't get to twist and do your own way of laboring. He gave you the rules and regulations on how to labor, man. Straight up. So he said, let us labor, therefore, to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. So I guess we can stop right there, man. So let me look on this comment section right quick. Brother Tazamak. Brother, every time I'm in here, please come in here. We love those precepts, man. And we love the questions also. Finesse love, Shalom. Chosen by Yah, all praises to the Most High. Thank you. Thank you for a great teaching, SOJ. Thank the Most High, man, that he used us as vessels to be able to edify the nation. Right? And, we're small camps. Tazamak said the YOLO doctrine, Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 is the YOLO doctrine. That is very correct, Barakida Ben Yehuda Israel. Thanks, family. Praise Yah. Hey, and just for the record, I did not get to finish this lesson because the Spirit took us somewhere else. But all praise to the Most High God, Lord willing, we can do a part 2 or something, and and it go wherever the Spirit wanted to go again, right? Your brother got any precepts? They like no.
No, we don't. We was, you was answering questions, so I was kind of,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We was here. We
We
support, bro. We support.
We just take the back seat.
All praise. My brothers. God, all praises. Hey, so Lord willing, you was edified, like we said, man. Just even if it's just a little bit, man, you can take something with you on your journey. right? We almost out of here. I know you hear that a lot, but we are literally almost out here. If you see the works of Esau, if you're really watching, you've been a watchman, man, you will see how close we are to getting up out of here. So with that, man, till next time, we say shalom.
Shalom.